changing the face of politics, one woman at a time. Up next on Carpe Diem. Hello and welcome to Carpe Diem. I'm Samantha Williams. Today we'll be discussing the underrepresentation of women in the U.S. government and how we can encourage women and young girls to become interested in politics in hopes of becoming future leaders of America. Joining me is Gianna Zaino, Executive Secretary for Montclair State University's Student Government Association. Gianna is a Justice Studies major, an Executive Admissions Ambassador, and a member of the Red Hawk Pride Society. Thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us about how you got into Justice Studies?
Yeah, sure. So ever since I was young, I started watching those TV shows with my mom, the ones on ID Channel, Law & Order SVU, NCIS, anything that had to do with law enforcement or crime scene investigation. So I think it's corny to say, but I think TV shows are what guided me to want to pursue Justice Studies. But then as I came to college, that wasn't my original major. I was a biochem major at first with a criminal justice minor, and I enjoyed my minor classes way more than my major classes, so I wound up switching. And so I fell in love with all the Justice Studies classes that I was taking, and they're a lot of fun, and I was getting A's, so I must have been good at it.
What kind of classes does that entail?
So I think some of my favorite classes from it were criminology, women in prisons, prisons and punishment. What else was I taking? I'm taking genocide right now, which is a pretty interesting course. So you take a lot of courses that not only do you study history, but you study like the way we have evolved within law enforcement and the prison system and anything that encompasses justice studies, I guess.
And you're graduating in June?
I will be graduating in August this summer. So August 3rd will be my final day on campus.
And what is the end goal for you after graduation?
So my end goal, I want to start in law enforcement and then I want to move my way up. So FBI would definitely be my end goal and the dream career.
So now let's get into the SGA. So can you tell me about why you wanted to be a part of it?
So my sophomore year, I joined the legislature, and it was a lot of fun. The legislature is one of the most powerful branches of the SGA. They're the ones that decide on all the bills that go up for events from the organizations. And so I had a lot of fun with that. But then my junior year, I decided there was a lot of the e-board leaving and I wanted to move up. So I ran for, I ran for secretary and it was a lot of fun. But I think being in the legislature and seeing how that was running, I wanted to move up and do something about it because while it was fun, there was a lot of things that weren't going like correctly. And so I decided to move up within the SGA.
Were there issues on campus that made you want to move up?
Yeah, I think there were some issues. I think more of like the lighting on campus. There were some certain parts of campus that were dark, which we got that resolved. Dr. Cole was very helpful with that. What else? There was a lot of things like with organizations just not being taken seriously that I wanted to fix. And
like
so,
what kind? Which ones?
So some of them were seen as like, oh, you're just a class 4. We don't really need to worry about you. Class 4s are like lower and they don't get as much money, but they're still important and people should still be wanting to see their events be put on. And they were just kind of pushed to the side. So I think it was more of like making sure class 4s were represented a little bit better, which they did a fantastic job this year with, especially their director was really great as well.
Mm-hmm. So with the light issue, where did they need more lights?
So over by Hawks Crossing, which is where I live, there was no lighting over there. It was very dark at night, and so they implemented a lighting pole almost in front of every single apartment. So now it's really bright over there, and it's great because there's a lot of students that like to hang out outside Hawks Crossings at night or coming back late. So I think once they lit that area up, it's much better for not only cars to see people, but for people to see other people.
Mm-hmm. So you had a campaign trail. Did you have one of those?
Yes, I did have a campaign trail. I campaigned with 3 other men. We were called the Core 4, creating opportunity to reach everyone. And there was 4 of us. And we all actually wound up winning. So my entire campaign won and became the new e-board. But it was a long road. A lot of our campaigning dealt with the elections getting contested multiple times, which definitely isn't something that's fun. Contesting an election just lengthens everything. And so our campaign went on forever. But we did a lot of social media, and chalking were our main things. And then we also did a lot of talking to organizations. So we would ask them if we could come and speak at their meeting this day, or come and speak at their chapter meetings for the Greek organizations. And a lot of them let us come and speak, and we would just talk about what our platform was, and that we hope we would get their vote. However, if we didn't get their vote, we just hoped that they voted. So a lot of it was just getting people out there to vote, which was definitely something that we still pushed this year.
How did you come up with the name Core 4?
We were actually sitting in an apartment with a ton of our friends, and we were like, oh, there's 4 of us, we should just be the Core 4. And then laughing about it because a lot of us were Yankees fans, and there's the Core 4 in Yankees. And then we were like, well, what is it going to stand for? And I think we just sat there, and like one of our friends just blurted it out, like creating opportunity to reach everyone. And we were like, sounds great. We're going to roll with it. And then like once we kept saying it, we were like, wow, this will actually work, because there are some people we aren't reaching, like commuter students usually are an issue with. We don't get to reach them as much as people who do live on campus. So it wound up working for what we wanted to do.
I mean, I know as a commuter, I feel more involved with the school now. Yes.
That's great. Well, at least we did something.
Did you have any competitors?
Yeah, I had 2 competitors. I think I had the most competitors, but I might be wrong. I had 2 other people I went up against, Kelly and Wellington. I still talk to them. I think we were still very pleasant to each other, even after the elections were over. Kelly is in the yearbook, and Wellington stayed in the legislature, and he's actually going to be the director next year for Greek life. So we've stayed very close. It didn't get ugly, at least with the other people running for secretary my year.
Were there any roadblocks that you faced or any hardships?
Oh yeah, I think the contesting of elections was definitely a roadblock and a hardship, because
yes, tell me about that.
I was so ready to be done with the campaign and to finally find out the results, and then like I think it was like the day or 2 before results were supposed to come out, they got contested. Meanwhile, I have midterms going on, I am working, and I just wanted it to be done. I was so tired, but they decided to contest them, and so elections were supposed to be the end of March. They wound up being pushed back a whole nother week. So we had even more to do, so we had to go out and chalk again. We had to go speak to organizations again. We had to make all new flyers put on social media with the new dates of when people could vote. So it was very stressful, because you had everything set and ready to go, and then they just kind of told you, nope, we're going to push it back because so-and-so said that you did this. And I was like, oh, great. But it was a hardship, but I mean, we eventually got through with it and then continued on with the campaign and the voting.
So now, what advice would you give to, younger girls who want to run for student government, or even someone who's in college and wants to run?
I would say go for it. I think sometimes I do regret going for secretary and not going and striving for the bigger positions. But I would say go for it. It's so much fun. Yeah, it can be stressful, but it's a great learning experience, and you get a lot of perks out of it. And while perks should not be what you go for, that is a bonus. I mean, perks are always a bonus to anything, but getting out there and really working for something and then being rewarded when you get it is so awesome, and the feeling is so great that I feel more women should go out for it. It's definitely, I mean, anybody who knows my e-board knows I have to keep the boys in check. I work on an e-board of all boys, so at times it's hard because I am the only woman. It's great because I know that I'm doing something right when people are like, oh, Gianna, you're doing a great job, or Gianna, this was awesome. And I'm like, thank you so much. Or Gianna, you haven't hurt them yet. And I'm like, nope, they're doing great. They're doing fine. So I think more women should go out for it because it's fun. And it's rewarding. And it's something that more women should get involved in, because if we don't, then the boys are going to run it all. And everybody needs a woman's voice in there, because we really know what's going on.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck with the rest of your term. It's almost over, but good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
As one of Hudson County's most influential people, one woman in power has made history by becoming the first female mayor of Hoboken. Let's take a look. In the United States alone, women are still underrepresented in politics and are still considered a minority. According to Catalyst.org, women hold only 19% out of the 435 seats in the House of Representatives. In the Senate, women hold only 21% out of 100 seats. Meet Mayor Dawn Zimmer, one woman in power challenging the political world, all while changing the face of Hoboken.
It's almost like you're gearing up for a marathon, and you just got to be out there running hard through the whole race.
Dawn Zimmer first made history in 2009 when she began her campaign trail in hopes of becoming mayor of Hoboken. After losing to Peter Camerano, instead of giving up, she persevered and soon was elected council president. When Camerano resigned, Zimmer saw a window of opportunity and immediately took office as the first female mayor of Hoboken.
And I learned from actually Bloomberg News that I was the first female mayor in all of Hudson County. But to me, it really wasn't about like going and becoming the first female mayor. It was about doing what's right for my community and really trying to look at park space and flooding issues. That's what it was really all about. So it didn't really have that much to do with being the first female mayor. Actually, if I had to kind of go back to what really made me decide to run for mayor, it was Tom Friedman, and I read his book Hot, Flat, and Crowded. And in his book he talks about how change can really happen at the local level, and as far as making cities greener and getting things done, it can happen at the local level. And I just after reading his book, that was really what inspired me to say, you know what, I think I'm going to go for it. It was, as far as getting into running for city council, there were about 7 other people that were considered before me, and then turned out that no one really had the time. I was the one that at that time was a stay-at-home mom, and I said, well, we have to do this. Someone has to run. Someone has to try and make sure that our voices are heard. I was the one that was available to do it.
Mayor Zimmer began her career as a crisis communication specialist for a large Japanese company, and from there worked in public relations across the country. Now as mayor, her priorities are to continue to improve the quality of life for Hoboken residents. She led the city through major crises such as Hurricane Irene in 2011 and Superstorm Sandy in 2012.
And then I'm also very proud of seeing Hoboken through Sandy. It was something that was extremely difficult for our city, 80% of the city being underwater, and then moving on and turning that disaster for our city into an opportunity and protect Hoboken for the long term. I think sometimes, unfortunately, we end up with people that are in politics who think of it as a career, and it really should be, it's a tremendous opportunity to do something for a community, for what you see as the important issues for the community. That's what it is. It's not nasty politics. It's an opportunity to really help your neighborhood, to really help your city or your town.
Since the recent presidential election, more women are running for local offices and winning mayoral elections now more than ever. An estimated 4,000 women across the U.S. want to run for political office.
So as far as launching a campaign, I think part of it is to kind of pursue your passions and figure out what issues you really care about, and whether it's getting involved in nonprofits or volunteering to be on boards. And then if you decide you're going to make a run for for office, it's it's a lot of understanding that it's going to be a lot of work, and you gotta, for me, it's up early in the morning, working till late, knocking on doors, and you just gotta sort of push yourself and really be out there and get engaged, get involved, go to council meetings, and raise your voice and talk to your neighbors, and so for me, and that's exactly how I got involved. I'm not going to deny it's a tough field, but women definitely can do it and have a lot to offer.
Joining me now is the co-founder and CEO of She Should Run, Erin Loos Cutraro. She Should Run is an organization working to increase the number of women and girls who see the possibilities in elected office. Erin now calls New York City her home, where she develops and manages She Should Run's strategic growth and development. Erin, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So, She Should Runs, tell me about it.
Yeah, so we are a organization that works to inspire women and girls to see what's possible in elected life.
And how did you get that started?
So I had worked in a few different fields, but spent a lot of my professional career working in politics, working with candidates, most of whom were running for office for the very first time. And what I found election cycle after election cycle is just this heartbreak of not seeing the increase in representation of women in government that I would feel inspired by. And so spent some time thinking about how we could build something that would address a piece of the puzzle that was unaddressed, which was we know that when women run for office, and this is an important piece of what we do, when women run for office, they win at the very same rates as men. Yet, they represent just a fraction of elected offices all across this country. So it's really a matter of us encouraging more women and girls, for that matter, to run, and starting in a place where we can kind of meet them where they are. So that's where She Should Run was sort of rooted, is how can we kind of address this system that's keeping women from being recruited, and when they are recruited, from feeling like they can do it.
And how do you encourage women?
Sure. So we have a few programs at She Should Run that are sort of core to our effort. One has been around since our founding, which is our Ask a Woman to Run program. So if you know a great woman leader who should think about running for office, you can come to She Should Run's website. It's sheshouldrun.org, and tell us about that great woman. And what we'll do is we'll connect with her and we'll say, Samantha thinks you should run for office. Here's what she said. We'd love to introduce you to some of our programs. And it's a nice way for there to be that kind of peer-to-peer encouragement. And research says that that's key, is, too often women are not asked to run for office at the same rate as men. And so that's simple. We almost skip over it too often, of not actually taking the time to encourage those women who are really great leaders around us to really think about elected office. So that's one key program, very simple. The second is a new program that we just launched last year called the She Should Run Incubator. And the Incubator is a program that primarily lives in the virtual space. So it's a series of courses and an affiliated community that is for the woman who is thinking about running for the very first time. So it offers a safe space for women to be able to come and explore the idea of running for office, see what it's going to take, look at those really early steps, and do so with others that just like them are thinking about running for office someday.
Wow, that's so great. And how's it been going? Have you had women who wanted to run?
Yes, it's been a wild ride. So over the years of our work, we sort of saw this tick of increase of interest. And one of the reasons that we created the incubator was because we recognized that there was no sort of core program for women who weren't ready to go all in just yet. So a lot of the campaign training that's out there is an incredible training that's out there is, about, fundraising training and media training. And it really assumes that the woman has already made the decision to run. So we wanted to create this program that was really about to give us the opportunity to make the case. So we want to move women from that place of maybe I'll do it, I don't know, to yes, I'm absolutely going to do it. So we launched the incubator I love telling the story. We launched the incubator in March of 2016. And we went out to, as we thought of it, kind of a pilot audience. So close network. We had about 150 women in the program, and we had the opportunity through their feedback to kind of fine-tune the experience and make the program even stronger. And then in September, we launched to the wider audience, opened it to anyone who had interest, and set what we felt like at the time was a pretty aggressive goal of getting 400 women in the program by the end of 2016. And then the election came and went, and the floodgates opened. We closed 2016 with 5,500 women in the program, and just closed April with just over 10,000 women who have stepped up to say they want to run for office someday.
That's incredible. So you totally exceeded your goal.
Yes.
Wow. So now, do you have any success stories of any women who actually won elections?
Yes. So the great sort of paradigm shift that we're working on with the She Should Run community is that often these women who are thinking about running for the first time are not stepping up and saying, okay, I'm thinking about running for the first time, I'm going to be convinced, and then boom, they're on a ballot. It doesn't work like that. So more often what we're seeing in the success stories that we spend a lot of time lifting up is women who, were voters, absolutely, potentially, as girls were involved in student government, and it's not that they're being introduced for the first time to politics, but they haven't been really involved in their local communities. They are stepping out, raising their hands for boards and commissions. They're getting involved in causes in their local communities. They're organizing. And it is through those stories, of which we have thousands of these examples of women who, are saying, I never thought I would be this person, but I can now see myself running for office someday. And that's what we're really focused on.
Do you help with the campaign trails as well?
We do, in that we help, once women get to that point of saying, I'm absolutely going to run, we help get them connected to organizations that can legally work with them once they have announced. So there's, in politics, that legal line. We operate as a nonprofit. So as a nonprofit, you cannot do what is called electioneering. So we have to be very careful that, well, we can take those women all the way up to the point that they're running. At that point, it's our job to push them out to the organizations that can step in politically and get them across the finish line. So our job is sort of building that beginning pipeline.
What are the benefits of women being in politics?
Oh, there's so many. So, the number one is that we can't possibly expect to have the smartest policies and solutions in our country if we're leaving half of the talent pool of this country outside the door. So, number one, it's about creating the smartest possible government. And in order to get there, we need a diverse governing body, and women have to at a minimum represent 50% of those positions. And then, what I would say to that is that it's really about the experiences and perspectives that women bring to a conversation. So our experiences are unique. Every person's experience is unique, and we want to make sure that when policies are, being debated and ultimately voted on, that it's that perspective that has been included, and too often it's not.
So you have 2 daughters.
I do.
And what advice do you tell them, and what advice would you give other girls and women? What's your advice?
Yeah, my advice is anything is possible. So my daughters are 7 and 5, and I work hard to do what my mom did with me, which was, if you see a barrier, break it down, go around it, go under it, you can figure it out. And my goal with them is, they're young. They still truly think anything is possible. It's worked very hard on that. And it's not hard because, girls, and I think all kids kind of think, truly sky is the limit, and it's really the job I see of organizations like She Should Run to work to catch up with that dream, to catch up with that vision, to be able to truly make it possible for them to climb and achieve anything that they want.
And do you believe that we will have a Madam President in the future?
I do, absolutely. We will get there. This election cycle, I think we learned a lot from what it takes and where the country stands and the conversations that still need to be had about the importance of women's voices being represented. But ultimately, the United States is, I think, currently ranked 104th in the world in representation of women in government. We have a long way to go, and electing the first woman president is an important step in that, to signal, especially to girls, that you can't be what you can't see, and we need to break that ultimate glass ceiling.
Well, thank you so much for coming in this morning and talking to us.
Absolutely.
Encouraging women and young girls to become interested in our government and politics creates a great step towards our future. If you would like more information on She Should Run, please contact the organization at 202-796-8396 or by email at info@sheshouldrun.org. That's all the time we have for this edition of Carpe Diem. For more information on this or any other episode, please write to us at the email address on your screen, carpediem@mail.montclair.edu, or call us at 973-655-5158. Until next time, I'm Samantha Williams. Thank you for watching.